You're setting the wrong boundaries, and here's why it's not working. If you've been in leadership for some time, you know that boundaries are important to setting the stage for your people to do good work and also to protect your energy and some days your sanity.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to be sharing with you today some of the mistakes that I see over and over and over again with leaders, the misconceptions around boundary setting and why it's not working. And I'm going to give you some tips on what to do instead. All right. My name's Melissa. I'm an executive coach and a management consultant. And what I do every day is I work with leaders such as yourself, leaders who are experienced, who are well liked, who have hearts of gold, who know how to take care of people, and who know how to empower people. And I help them build their influence. I help them improve, increase, enhance their communication so that they're maximally influential and effective. And I help them not just empower people, but create self-managed employees and self-managed teams. So they're actually getting their time back and they're able to focus on the work that is strategic and important in their role. Far too often, people get dragged into and stuck in operational firefighting, right, as a
Yeah.
manager. And while you're doing all of that, you're losing your energy and you're also not tending to the important things that are also part of your role, like setting direction and giving guidance and setting it up so we're not just maintaining the status quo, but we're actually growing and improving. So joining me today is Kay. Kay is part of my team. So she is bringing the employee perspective. And what I love about Kay is she's able to speak to how we're actually implementing everything that we're talking about in our live trainings, how we implement it day to day on our team and what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey everyone, for those still getting to know me, I'm Kay. I'm right hand, Melissa's right hand at In Charge Coaching. I help bring these learning opportunities to life, connect with leaders daily, and equip them with the right tools to lead with clarity and confidence. And I'll be real with you. I used to be terrible at boundaries, so this topic hits home. And I used to think boundaries meant saying no more often, but what I've learned, especially working with Melissa in her one on one coaching program, is that boundaries are not just about protecting your time, they're also about setting up your work and personal life in a way that makes sense to you. So I'm really excited for this conversation because this is something that has completely changed the way I live my life.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you. And, one of the things that I've been so proud about with you is your ability to implement all of this and really see the changes in how you're living your day to day in your work, in your home, with your relationships, how you've been evolving on the team. And your contribution in the team and your value has been just tremendous.
Ah, thank you.
And so I'd like to kick us off today by sharing a little story. I'm going to share with you the story of Marjorie. Marjorie was a client of mine, and I'm calling her Marjorie to protect her identity. So it's not her real name, but confidentiality, right? So Marjorie, when we started working together, she was that leader who had a ton of experience. She was well liked by her team. Like people really went to her, confided in her. She had a heart of gold, always there, always supportive to her team, really focused on building their skills and giving them the tools to succeed. And so what was happening with Marjorie is she was starting to burn out. So she noticed the burnout, right? Very self-aware. Hey, this isn't working. Something needs to change. And what she did was set this boundary of, I have to leave work at 5 in order to create work-life balance, which is one type of balance, by the way. When I talk about balance, it's a lot more than work-life, but that's what she was looking at. And in her mind, that was the solution to getting her energy back and being able to balance things out when she's at work. So she started leaving at 5. She started spending a little bit more time at home or doing some of the personal things that she wanted to do. The problem is that she was still drained. At 5 o'clock, when she was leaving, she was still exhausted. So even though she was creating a pocket of time for herself, like utilizing that time to actually do the things that she enjoys doing, she just didn't have the energy. She wanted to sit on the couch and watch Netflix, not go out and spend time with friends, right? And so
Yeah.
she's still drained of energy and work is still chaotic. And she started feeling disconnected from work and even self-doubting, like, can I maintain this? Can I continue doing this? Do I need to move to a different position? Do I need to do something different? So now we're starting to look at, is the grass greener on the other side? Which is when she reached out to me. And so Marjorie is an example of many clients that I work with. Almost every client that I work with know about boundaries. Most of them, before we work together, they've already set some of those boundaries, like not checking my inbox after 6 o'clock, or stopping work at 5, or I'm going to leave work at work, as in I'm not taking anything, with me under my arm to my house. I'm going to take lunch. I'm going to take breaks, right? All of these different and beautiful time boundaries. But time-based boundaries do not fix the problem. They don't fix the problem. If you're leaving work at 5, but from 9 to 5, you're still running around, putting out fires, pulled in different directions, and not getting to your work, so you're still leaving with an unfinished, to-do list, you're leaving with that stress. The day is stressful and you're still carrying it, even though you have good intentions of leaving it behind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How does that
Absolutely.
ring to you, Kay?
I definitely agree with that because technically you have a boundary,
Yeah.
but your brain doesn't stop working even after you leave work. So that's the loophole that we're addressing.
Yeah. And so the problem really isn't when you stop working, it's what you do when you're at work. It's
Absolutely.
what you do while you are working. All right? I'm going to repeat that again. The problem isn't when you stop working. The problem is what you're doing while you're working.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's talk about why these things aren't working, why time-based boundaries aren't working for you. All right. So, first off, you're not solving the root cause of the issue. Therefore, you're just pushing things forward. If you're over functioning and running around all day long,
Mm-hmm.
then you're just doing the same thing the next day. You're just pushing things forward and still engaging, still experiencing those symptoms. The symptoms being, I feel like I don't have enough time. My time is stretched thin. I
Mm-hmm.
look at my calendar, there's no space, right? So the symptom is the time and the lack of time. But the solution, the reason for that and the solution to that is different, right? So avoidance boundaries are not going to address that root cause. So if you're setting up boundaries that, get you to focus elsewhere, like, ooh, I'm going to leave work at 5, great. And you're not really addressing the root cause.
Yeah.
So you're still stuck experiencing those same symptoms, even though you might start feeling like you have a little bit more balance, the work-life balance. Let's look at balance overall. Are you feeling balanced in your task, your day-to-day task, in your projects, in the way that your team is problem solving? Do you feel balanced there? Do you feel balanced in your relationships at work? Relationships with your team members, relationships with your colleagues, with your superiors. Do you feel balanced in your decision making? Do you feel balanced in your role? These are big questions.
Very big.
Mm-hmm. And so when we look at balance, think much broader than just work-life balance. Do yourself that favor to look at every aspect of balance, because once you find balance within that workday, the leaving at 5 will actually start paying off, because you're going to be leaving with energy, with actual emotional and mental capital to engage with that time that you're creating for yourself. And then finally, rigid boundaries don't adapt to leadership needs. So if the boundary is a stop work at 5, you and I both know that that's not going to be realistic to attain that day after day after day. Right?
Yeah.
There are things that happen. And so what do you do when those things start happening, when those deadlines are approaching, and when leaving at 5 is not going to pay off? It's going to actually create an issue for you, when you're going to need the flexibility. So how do you create boundaries that actually work, right? That's the question that we come to. And I can walk you through what Marjorie and I did. And this is the framework that I'm going to be covering inside the masterclass, the Boundaries and Balance Masterclass. So first off, those like traditional, like leave at 5, leave work at work, all of these things are not going to be enough for you. And what you're going to need is a boundary to create that balance at all aspects of your life, going back to how you're working, how you're achieving your task and your projects, how you're interacting with your team and your colleagues and your boss. You're going to need to know specifically for you what that boundary looks like. And boundaries are unique. You are not going to find them in a book. You're not going to find them on a podcast or on a TED Talk or on a 5 steps to blah, blah, blah. This is really unique to you. Like, you need to go in and figure out what is the root cause. What is the balance that you're trying to strike? And what's going to be the path to that balance? What is the boundary that's going to make the difference? All right. So that's the first step. It's a really big step. Most people know about boundaries. I rarely encounter anyone who can answer this question. What unique boundary is going to create that kind of balance in your role? And so Next is, once you've figured out that boundary, you need to be able to communicate it with confidence to create that respect. You know, how do people get respect? You know, think of people in your life that you respect, and you respect them enough to not step on their toes. They are the people who are able to communicate their boundaries assertively, not aggressively, but assertively, with confidence. And so, what I'm going to be covering inside the masterclass are different strategies to be able to communicate that with confidence. But it's not just going to be a little framework like use this wording. The confidence comes from the inside. So, we're going to be looking at that piece, not just what to say, but how to say it, how to bring your inner confidence forward to be able to communicate that. Anything to add there?
Um, I think I would definitely like to add something that I had this huge fear that if I said no or pushed back, it I would seem unhelpful or not a team player. But I think
Mm,
one thing you coached me on was how I communicate boundaries. So it's not just like, no, I can't do that, but here's what I can do. So I definitely agree with you on communicating them assertively. So that's when you shift from guilt to clarity, and because you are clear about your priorities, and people respect your time more, and therefore they respect you more.
yeah. And I think that's a beautiful insight is when you nail this down, there is no guilt.
Guilt, yeah.
There is no guilt, there is no shame
Mm-hmm.
with this second step. Now the third step, what we did with Marjorie and what I'm going to be again covering in the masterclass are the strategies to maintain respect of those boundaries over time. So it's not just enough to communicate it once, but what are the containers that you're going to create to maintain that respect? And that's a really, really important piece. So it's not enough just to know, right? We need to know, we need to
Yeah.
communicate with confidence, and then we need to maintain over time. The beauty when it comes to boundaries, it is internal. They are yours, and it is within your power to actually action this and create and maintain this respect. You don't have to wait for it. You can take ownership of it. And I'm a take ownership and let's get it done kind of person. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So, the Boundaries and Balance Masterclass I've designed because I have been working with clients like Marjorie time after time after time. And I've been using this system with my clients with a lot of success. And I want to be able to share it with you so that you can create that balance that you want for yourself and within your role in 2025. Because Marjorie, when she was able to implement this system, she stopped managing work, first of all, and she started empowering and leading people. And she felt really aligned with her role. She arrived at this place where this is the role for me. Yes, I can do this. Yes, I can be here. I can feel good. She felt a sense of control over what was happening in her day. And she was leaving work with energy so that she can actually enjoy the rest of her life. So enjoying being at work and enjoying her life. And that is a beautiful thing. And that's why I do what I do. So I want to share with you this system so that you can implement that for yourself. And you're going to find out exactly how at the masterclass. All you need to do is register. It's happening March 11th at 12 p.m. Eastern. For my Atlantic folks, that will be 1 p.m. It's 2 hours. So that is your investment, is creating space for yourself for 2 hours so that you have the system to create more time for yourself and more energy for yourself. So this is an investment that's going to pay back for you. And we are going to be giving you a workbook to go along with the workshop. So when you come in person, and in person, I mean live online,
Yeah.
you'll be getting access to the workbook so you can actually take it with you and rinse and repeat. All right. So if you want to have a different outcome and stop struggling with those symptoms of not having enough time, this is your solution. It's
Hmm.
completely free. Invest in yourself, take ownership, and let's create a beautiful 2025 for you. I'll see
Absolutely.
you at the masterclass. All right. Have a good one.